I've got this piece of Oak Burl, which is a very weird shape, and I really didn't know what to do with it. It's got some checking, as you'd expect with a burl, but it's a lovely piece of wood, and my old mate Simon Jackson chucked it in the back of my car. I should really take all this off, all the burl off, and I'm not going to. I'm going to see what might stay on. I have an idea of a bowl in it, but I don't know how it's going to work out. It's a case of one of those things, you just stick it on. I chiselled out a bit of the bark at the back so I could get my drive centre in, and basically just see how it goes and see what comes of it. If nothing else, I'll have a nice lot of shavings to dry my bolts. Now, someone said, we're not in a race. You're not in a race when you're doing something like this, and just take your time. I think at this juncture it's a good point for me to just mention something. Hang on a minute. I'm not one of these fortunate people that can look at something and know exactly what I'm looking for, the end design. I know it's an old cliche, but I try and let the woods talk to me with my limited design capabilities. So I start off something and let it evolve. That's why possibly I'd never make a living as a production turner, because I rather like the mystery, if you like, of starting something like this and not really knowing how it's going to turn out. I have the greatest admiration for somebody that can look at something and know exactly what they need to do to get the end product. I, unfortunately, or fortunately, haven't got that ability. So that's why I keep Okay, I rather like the overall shape. I'm not going to leave it too thin. Not quite sure how I'm going to approach this yet, but what I think I'll do is I'll shoot for a natural edge, and we'll just have to see how it goes. So what I'm going to do now is to tidy up the surface a bit. I've got the basic shape I'm looking for, and I'm quite happy with that. And I'm going to try and keep as much of the burl and the bark on as possible. It would be nice to keep that raised piece there, but I don't know, it could all just come away, in which case we'll have to go back to the softwood here. We still could get some nice shapes, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to sand up the outside now and give it a couple of coats of oil, and then I'll turn it round, put it in my medium gripper jaws and on the spigot, and start to hollow out and see what occurs as I'm hollowing it out. So I'll see you later. Just a little tip that I use now. I started using the sanding pads on bigger projects. Just the old regular sponge sanding pads, and then wrap your abrasive round it, and you can get the required shape you're looking for, or finish it off. So I started off at 120 grit on the drill for the power sanding, and this is 150, and I'll work up to, I would think, 320 on this, not 400 or 600, but we'll see, and I'll come back when I'm ready to put the first. Okay, so I've covered the bedways with an old towel, which I like to do. Don't get any mess on there, and I'm going to be using Rustin's Danish oil, and that should feed the wood quite nicely. The foot, when I've turned it round and hollowed out, whatever happens there, the foot I'm going to indent from about this area here, so it'll just have a slight concave profile to it. And obviously, because of the nature of the shape of the edge of the bowl, I will not be able to put them into my button jaws, so that will have to be hand sanded to a finish, which is not a problem. It's just a bit of extra work, which we don't mind doing. Now this oil, as I say, feeds the wood. You can put as many coats on as you like, but it's basically just let it feed in, and as you can see, it gives a nice luster. It won't never give a nice high gloss, but as I say, that's not what I want. Some beautiful markings on this burl. You see these crevices, call them what you like here, are all part of the character. Now I could, as I explained earlier, I could actually put CA glue in there to stabilise it, but on the burls I've worked on before, I don't know if it's because of the age of the burl that I get from my friend, I don't know, but it seems fairly stable. Like with the goblet, although it was flexing, it all held together. This has got some beautiful markings on it. I just hope that it doesn't explode when I start to take the middle out. See, up here I haven't sanded or anything. I'm only worried about this piece for now, because again, if you visualise, let's just say it all went pear-shaped as such, you're still going to have a nice bowl there, even if it comes off. So right, turn the bowl round now, and as you can see, the burl is quite deep in there, so I'm hoping, as I say, to keep as much of this as I can, but I do feel that a lot of this is going to fly off, but we can only see how it goes. Okay, so what I've done now, I have given the bowl 3 coats of Danish oil over the last sort of 24 hours. I put a light lacquer on the bark as well as the Danish oil. I'm going to see how that's going. What I've done now, I've reversed the bowl to take off the tenon. I've got some router matting on the inside. I've left the jaws in the chuck, and I've merely compressed the tailstock to give some pressure. The router matting serves 2 purposes. The first purpose is obviously not to mark the inside of the bowl, and it also gives some friction, if you like, so we've got like a friction fit here, so light cuts are necessary. I can't remember whether I explained in the beginning, but what I intend to do is to take the foot off and just to have a concave centre, so it'll sit nicely on the rim. That's the idea, and I'm just going to use a 1/2 inch spindle gouge now. Some light on the subject, hope it's not too light. That's a bit better, and reduce that down. It'll leave a little nib in the middle, which I will then take off by hand and hand sand. Very light cuts. Okay, so that's sanded up now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my point tool and just make a little bit of a bit of detail on the bottom. To a spindle gouge and get that as small as possible. And give that a little bit of it. So you've got that as small as possible now, and then move, and it's fallen off already as I'm taking it off. So there you can see there's just a little nub in the middle, and that just needs a little bit of sanding. Take it off with a chisel, a little bit of sanding, a bit of Danish oil, and then your base is done as well. And there's the bull finished. 3 coats of Danish oil, 1 coat of lacquer on the bark and on the natural edge, I should say, and the underneath finished as well, and rather a nice piece considering it was a weird shape to start with and the bark stayed on. I was thinking of taking this off, but it seems to be quite stable, and I like the cracks and the fissures. I just think it's natural. So some lovely markings on there, so it's come up pretty well. I'll put some pictures up at the end. Well, thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers now.